On a coral reef, movement is everything. Color flashes, fins pulse, shadows shift constantly in the current. Every creature is watching something, or being watched. And yet, hidden in plain sight, there is a predator that breaks all of these rules. It doesn't swim through the reef. It doesn't chase. It barely even looks alive. And still, it hunts with a level of precision that rivals the fastest animals on Earth. Because by the time its prey realizes what it's looking at, it's already too late. This right here is the frogfish. At first glance, there's nothing about it that suggests a predator. Its body is uneven, swollen, and almost shapeless. There's no sleek outline, no visible speed, no sign of power. Instead, it looks like debris, just a fragment of sponge, a growth on the reef, something that has been sitting there for years. And that illusion is exactly the point. Frogfish are masters of disguise, but not in the way most animals are. They don't just match color. Their skin forms irregular folds, filaments, and soft protrusions that scatter their outline. Light doesn't reflect cleanly off their bodies, making them even harder to detect. Its edges completely disappear into the reef. Its contours break apart entirely. From a distance, the frogfish doesn't resemble an animal at all. It blends into the visual noise of the reef. And in an environment as crowded and chaotic as this, being ignored is the greatest advantage of all. But camouflage alone doesn't make a hunter successful. What makes the frogfish truly effective is what happens next. Just above its mouth, almost invisible against its body, is a thin, flexible structure, a modified dorsal spine structure. This is known as the elysium, and at its tip is something even stranger, a small fleshy lure. This part is the esker. Unlike passive camouflage, this lure is active. The frogfish can move it independently, flicking it in short, irregular motions, not rhythmically, not predictably, but in a way that mimics something alive, much like a wounded shrimp or a drifting worm in the current, a small, vulnerable animal struggling in the water. To a nearby fish, it doesn't look like danger. And that's where the trap begins. The reef is full of small fish that survive by constant motion and constant decision-making. Every second they assess risk. Every shadow could be a predator. Every movement could mean escape. But those same instincts can be used against them, because when something small and edible appears right in front of them, their usual hesitation fades away. A fish approaches, slowly at first. It pauses, adjusts its position, watches the movement. The lure twitches again. Closer now. The frogfish does not react. No tracking, no shift in posture, no visible preparation. Its entire body remains still, anchored to the reef. Even its breathing is subtle, almost imperceptible. Everything about it reinforces the illusion that nothing is there. The distance closes. A few centimeters, then less. And now, the prey has crossed an invisible boundary. This is the moment the frogfish has been waiting for, because it doesn't need speed across distance. It only needs speed within it. What happens next is one of the fastest feeding events in the animal kingdom. There is no warning, no gradual movement, no visible wind-up. The frogfish's mouth expands outward in an explosive motion. Its jaws don't simply open, they project forward. The volume of the mouth increases dramatically in a fraction of a second. And with that expansion comes a sudden drop in pressure. Water rushes inward, not gently, but forcefully. Everything in front of the mouth is pulled in. The prey doesn't have time to react. It doesn't turn, it doesn't flee, it is simply taken. The entire sequence, from stillness to capture, happens in just a few milliseconds. So fast that even slowed down footage struggles to fully reveal it. And then, it's over. The mouth closes. The reef returns to stillness. There is no struggle, no aftermath, no sign that anything just happened at all. The frogfish remains exactly where it was, as if nothing changed. But beneath that still exterior is a highly specialized feeding system. Unlike predators that rely on teeth or pursuit, the frogfish relies on suction. Its skull structure is adapted to allow rapid expansion of the oral cavity. Ligaments stretch, bones rotate, muscles contract with precise timing, all of it coordinated to generate a powerful inward flow of water. This method is not just fast, it's efficient. There is no wasted energy in chasing, no risk of prolonged struggle. Every successful strike is decisive. And because the frogfish can consume prey nearly its own size, each meal is significant. Sometimes the prey is so large that the frogfish's body appears to bulge after feeding. But even then, it doesn't move away. It doesn't retreat. It stays, because the strategy doesn't change. Stillness, deception, precision. What makes this even more unusual is how the frogfish navigates its environment. It doesn't swim like most fish. There are no sustained bursts of movement, no flowing motion through open water. Instead, it moves in short, controlled shifts. Using its pectoral and pelvic fins, it pushes itself along the reef. Step by step, almost like walking, each movement is deliberate, minimal, just enough to reposition, just enough to find a slightly better angle, a slightly better background, a slightly better chance. Because positioning is everything. The closer it can get to areas of high activity, the more likely something will pass within reach. And once it finds that position, it waits, not for seconds, not for minutes, but sometimes for hours, even days. This level of patience is rare, but it's what allows the frogfish to operate in an environment where movement usually exposes you. Here, stillness becomes invisibility, and invisibility becomes control. There are dozens of frogfish species, each adapted to slightly different environments. Some resemble bright sponges, others mimic algae-covered rock. Some are smooth, others are covered in elaborate filaments that drift with the current, further breaking up their outline. But the strategy remains the same across all of them. Disguise, lure, strike, reset, over and over again. A cycle so efficient that it rarely needs to change. And perhaps the most unsettling part of all of this is how close this predator can be without ever being noticed. On a reef filled with life, a frogfish can sit just centimeters away from other animals, completely ignored, completely undetected, watching, waiting. Because in this world, survival doesn't always belong to the fastest or the strongest. Sometimes it belongs to the one that disappears so completely that nothing ever sees it coming.